Lake Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.
Why are you taking so many pictures? I said, because nobody's named Janet anymore. Everybody has all unusual names. So mine was pretty standard, but a lot of them were from the 1400s. So I don't know. Anyway, I've lived in Lake Forest for 32 years, and I came up from Chicago, and I wanted to garden. And I love the city. I fell in love with it. Got my voter registration, got my library card, and I got my bike license plate. And I didn't know at the time, because I had read beforehand you had to get a license plate for your bike. So I didn't know at the time that those license plates were for children's bikes. So it was 3 years later that I was riding around town, and somebody said, "What are you doing with that license plate?" And I said, "Well, you're supposed to have one." And they said, no, that's for kids, not you. So anyway, I love Lake Forest. I moved right into the middle of town. And that's when I started taking part in a lot of community things. And in terms of I got on the Friends of the Library boards where they have sales, all kinds of things like that. So I've been here for a while, and I was still working at the time. Now I'm retired, but I was still working at the time. So I was, at that time, driving down to LaGrange every day, which is a pretty long trip. And I had a computer training school at that point. But I started as a teacher, and I've always wanted to be a teacher, and since 6th grade. So I went to school, became an English teacher. I taught college prep classes, and I was a debate coach. And I enjoyed that thoroughly. I probably would have just had one job had it not been for the school closing. It was right in the middle of the town in Arlington Heights, part of District 214, second largest school district at the time, with Buffalo Grove, John Hersey High School, all these 7 schools. And they were trying to figure out what school to close, and they ended up closing the center of the town, which I thought was really strange because we were the only school in that district that could have a homecoming parade because it was right there. So rather than go to another school, I ended up deciding to start a business. And I came, it was right at the right time. I actually, it was all luck, I thought. I started, it was computer training, and the PCs had just come out at the time. This was 1984. So people didn't know how to use them. They put the IBM PCs on the CEO's desk, and they didn't know what to do with them. They had said to the secretaries, do something with this. So I started in 3 months, broke even, because people really wanted to learn how to use the PCs. It turned out that in a couple of years, I had 50 employees, and we were all over the city training. I had classrooms, and it just kept expanding, and finally turned into 7 digits of revenue. So it was a thriving business. And then I realized at some point in time, I needed to sell it. The sales were a little more flat because people got used to using, rather than Lotus to Excel, they started using Excel, and then sales became flat. So I sold the business, and then moved on, and I was the general manager at the Genesee Theater. So I had the business in LaGrange at the time, and I had classrooms, and then finally started looking for another position. So I ended up at the Genesee, enjoyed that, loved it. I was a little nervous about going to Waukegan, but I realized later Waukegan's great. I love the people, and ran the business there and ramped it up. And 15-hour days are long days. And finally, I decided to retire, but I couldn't do that. So I ended up later, after traveling and so forth, taking some time off, went to work for Weiss, Janney, Elstner. And that's a really fine engineering architecture firm. Gosh, brightest people I've ever met, I think, and nice people, and they're so talented. And I love architecture. So that basically allowed me to work there, and then COVID hit. So that's what happened to my life. Not surprising.
So now in 2025, you want to take all that life experience that you just told us about and put it to good use on the board of trustees at College of Lake County.
That's right. I was asked to be on the board kind of reluctantly. I said, you know what, I have a lot on my plate. I'm also writing a thesis at this moment that's due in another month. And they said, well, would you run? Nobody's running. And I said, well, somebody has to run. This is a fine school. I have total respect for CLC. So I said, okay, I'll run. And then it turned out there were 7 of us running, which scared me half to death because I've never campaigned in my life. I've never run for anything. And so now I'm on the campaign trail and speaking to groups, and actually learning more and more about CLC, which I didn't know. I knew that they had certain things, but I had no idea they were as fine a school as I'm finding out, which is really, I'm impressed by it.
So you're one of 7 candidates running for 2 seats?
2 seats, right? It's really strange. When you look at the ballot, we haven't seen the ballot yet, but there are 2 parts of the ballot. We're at the bottom. So when I start sending things out to people, I'm going to say, look at the bottom first. Look at the mayor and look at our alderpersons, but then look at the bottom of the ballot. Okay. And it looks like there were 2 positions. One is like a 2-year term, and it must be filling out somebody's position. And that has only 1 person running. I should have run for that one because I would have a better chance, a better percentage. And then there's a group of us right above that will be on the ballot, 7 people running for 2 positions.
And you've been endorsed by Bill Griffin, is that correct?
Yes, I am. In fact, he was the one who talked to me about running.
Okay, because we've had Bill was on the podcast 2 years ago when he ran again.
Oh.
He left and came back. He lives in Lake Forest too.
Right.
Pete had a great show with him and Stu
Good.
Walker. I believe he's Stu's neighbor.
Oh,
So
okay.
so
Well,
7 people running for 2 spots. The election is April 1st. Now there's nothing contested in Lake Forest,
no,
and there's nothing contested in Shields Township.
no,
There is contests other parts of Lake County for some things,
yes.
but this is going to be, I suspect, a very low turnout election. So getting your supporters and letting people know about you and getting them to vote is going to be even more important than it is in a presidential election where everybody shows up anyways, and you just try to say, hey, by the way, be sure to also vote for Jan. You've got to get them to come to the polls
That's
to
right.
vote for Jan because there's not much else on the ballot to vote for.
Well, Ben Grum, who is our one of the police, is a detective or policeman in Lake Forest, told me the other day, why don't you look for the communities that have contested races? Look for where there's a lot of tension going on, because that will bring the people out to vote. Versus Lake Forest, we all know that the people on our ballots, other than CLC, the other people are going to win. And they said, why don't you go speak to those groups? And I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea in terms of strategy. I know Bill Griffin had about 20,000 got 20,000 votes in his election. And I don't think I know 20,000 people. So
Pete does. Pete can help you out with that one.
I have a long way to go.
Except all of Pete's friends live in Chicago, so I don't know how many you got in Lake
Right.
County.
Why do I care about the College of Lake County board?
Well, for the first part is that the board helps kind of sets the tone in terms of making certain that these kids, and I'm talking about kids, of course, the first person who signed my petition, first person, was 85 years old. He bent down and he signed it, and he said, I go there. And I said, you do? And I said, what are you taking? He said, I take the drums. I play the drums. I'm in the band. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is fabulous, because CLC reaches out to everybody. But primarily, you want them to reach out to the kids who are wanting to go to school, but they can't afford it. So I have a big hang up about colleges and the price of college and how much parents have to spend to get their kids in college. So these students basically are spending about $4,000 a year, and that's a doable figure. They can work as they go to school. They can make money. The parents might supplement that. They might help them. So they're getting out of a 2-year school and then being able to figure out whether they want to go to a 4-year school to finish out, or they may go into a tech center. They may go into a technical program. So CLC has that ability. And our tax money, our taxpayer dollars, go to about 63% of that school is funded by Lake County taxpayers. And it's affordable for them. We also, the board, you're talking about what the board does in this, the board goes out and secures Pell Grants. And that adds to the education, or at least the funding, that mechanism for those kids, for those students to go to school. So not only that, the teachers are adjunct faculty. They have all kinds of, I think, really talented teachers there. And I even have they have personal enrichment courses. In fact, I have some for you too. I've collected, as a board member, if I get on the board, I'm going to say this is great, because they have, for example, a personal enrichment class called voiceover. It's an introduction. You two could teach the class, but for only $59, you could take the class. And if you wanted to enrich your voiceover, you could do cartoon characters. They teach you how to do cartoon characters for another $59. I mean, I think that's creative. But my favorite one in all of them is called Rock, ROCK, Rock the Reception. And you could take, for $49, you could go in and learn the popular line dancing that's performed at weddings. And so you two could take the $49 class for personal enrichment, and the next wedding you go to, you could be the star of the reception with rock
Is this
music.
$49 per person or
Per
$49
person.
per couple?
Unfortunately, it's 49. Maybe they'll give you a
I'm only line dancing with my wife. I'm not line dancing with Pete.
Okay. Well, you'd probably go to different weddings. But anyway,
And I'm sure Maureen feels the same way with Pete.
right, there you go. So they have all kinds of experiences at the school, and I think the board encourages that. The other thing that I believe in, I have a two-platform campaign here. One is all about the students and affordability and getting a decent education. So their credits transfer to a four-year college if they want, and or they go into a technical area. Second, I think the board needs to oversee the budget. And I think that there's fat in everything. And we're seeing this we're seeing it big time in the federal government. We've already known it. But now I think every single budget has fat in it. So I think just taking a look, and I'm not a numbers person, I was an English major, but I was also a business owner. So I looked at the books a lot. At the Genesee Theater, I was looking at the books. And so it takes me a little longer, but I can dig into things. And so that's part of it. And I'm just now looking at some of the numbers at the college. So I think right now I'm seeing that the numbers look good. I think that it's a clean college. It has great buildings. It has good faculty. I think the Lumbar Center, the James Lumbar Center at that school has better acoustics than the Genesee Theater. I mean, just in terms of being on the board of the Lake Forest Symphony, where we had concerts there all the time, and it's called Wow. The acoustics are incredible in that center. So there are buildings there that have to be maintained. You have to keep the lights on. You have staff. I don't know whether it's top heavy on administration or not. I don't know about that, but the board would have some say in this. So that's where the board comes in, and also acquiring Pell Grants for the school as well. So that's what I see as a board, and also attending the monthly meetings.
You brought up administration, and my ears perked. I like what you can do with the college. You can knock out the first 2 years, and you can save a lot of money. And if I could do it all over again, I would say, Pete Jr., if you want to go to school, do the junior college route for the first 2 years, and then go to the 4-year school, and whatever the savings is, I'll split it with you, and you can put that in a bank account to get you kickstarted when you finally graduate. Couple questions I have. You're talking about there's no fat in the budget, but in order to know that, you'd have to look at a 4-year school and look at the administrative costs of a 4-year school. Do you have a guesstimate where all the administration costs are going, that it keeps rising, where a kid's got to pay or a parent's got to pay 50 grand a year?
I haven't explored that other than in my own experience right now. I'm about ready to finish a master's degree in historic preservation, something I love, architecture. And of course, it's right down the alley of Lake Forest. We have the most beautiful architecture, most beautiful town. So when COVID hit, I said, I'm not going to sit home. I'm not just going to sit for however long it's going to be until COVID leaves. So I decided to enroll in a master's program in Boston. It's Boston Architectural College. And I looked at the Art Institute in terms of their school. There aren't many that have historic preservation. So I looked at Art Institute, and then I found Boston Architectural College. And I enrolled in that, talked my better half to join me into the program too. I'm spending $70,000 on a master's, and I'm in a fixed income. And I'm thinking, in fact, we can't go to Spain this year because we have to finish out the master's and also the payment and all of that. And I'm thinking, this is really expensive. That's not cheap. And I know that a lot of all schools are high. In fact, that's why I like the CLC, because it's not. And it also takes that 2 years off. So I haven't gone through an analysis of, in terms of state schools, of where they are in terms of how much. But you have room and board, so that's added, when you go to a school, let's say U of I or Illinois State or something like that. You have that along with it. You're paying for, of course, the funding or the expense of the school itself. You're paying for the faculty expenses. I don't know where CLC fits into that, but I know they have deans. I know they have the president, then deans over departments, and then you have the faculty. I don't know how the faculty turns. I don't know how many are full-time versus adjunct, where they're part-time. I know that they pay the benefits. As a former teacher, I get benefits from the state of Illinois because I taught here, and they're good benefits. They're really excellent. In fact, when I signed up for the benefits, the guy said, "Oh, you're with the state teachers. Oh, this is a great benefit package." So I know that schools have very good benefits, and I'm not sure. And that's something I'll have to take a look at.
Fly in Elon Musk to help find the ways for
it. We need somebody like him.
Okay. You just spent a chunk of money for your master's. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back in time, do you think you would have to do that all over again? Where I'm going is with this is knowledge is decentralized now. You don't have to go to one place and somebody holds all the knowledge and disperses it. You can go anywhere. You can go to YouTube and learn about historical preservation. And some people may turn up their nose at it, but after looking at it, there's a certain amount of classes you need to do, a certain amount of hours that you need to do, a thesis that you need to do, defend it. But do you really need to do that at a brick and mortar building? What do you think, Jan?
My courses were, well, first, they do have 2 buildings in the Back Bay. This is at Boston Architectural College. One is I won't go through this a lot, but it's a Richardsonian Romanesque. It's a beautiful old building that was a firehouse at one point, big. And the next building they built was Boston's into brutalist architecture. This is all concrete slabs on Newberry Street, just behind it. And that's the rest of the college. Most of the students, or at least many of them, are taking Zoom classes. They deal with online. But they do have the buildings there, and they are on Zoom. I was pretty much Zoom all the way, except for 2 times I had to go to Boston to go through intensive classes, and I had to stay there and eat that wonderful seafood that they have in Boston. And
Give a cup of chowder.
oh, Cedar. Yeah, it's a great town, fun town to visit, but very expensive. And I had the instructors I had, and yes, I could probably find the same information in the books. I have dozens and dozens of books that I had purchased, but I found that the instructors I had were selected and they were adjunct, but they were in different parts of the country, pretty much East Coast, some Southern, one in Birmingham, Alabama, all different parts. And they would just teach a certain class on, let's say, historic preservation law or on planning. I took a developer's class. I developed a whole downtown area, actually, buildings for Waukegan, believe it or not, for affordable housing. So these instructors have the knowledge that we would talk and we would write volumes of material. In fact, at one point, I wrote so much and it was really pushed. It was like 70 pages in 3 weeks. And I don't know how many, 92 footnotes or something. And I got hives. It was like, okay, I need a break after this.
But are you taking the classes in Boston, or do you take them via Zoom from Lake Forest?
Take them here in my basement, okay? And I write a lot. And then we had an intensive 2 weeks in Boston for the last 2 years. So we had to go to Boston for 2 weeks, and we took them in person. And that was really valuable too. But the most valuable part was dealing with the instructors who basically challenged us, as instructors should. They challenged us to this learning and all these papers. In fact, one of the papers that we're actually, Paul Bergman and I are giving to the city is about the descriptions of all the buildings or 30 buildings in Market Square. And we're giving it to the city as a gift. It's 135 pages long, and it's all historical. It's very detailed, and it will serve as a guidebook for any developers coming in to develop, because cities always change. And so we're giving that to the city, and we're also giving it to the Historical Society or the History Center in Lake Forest. But the instructors actually make it. And that's where I could not have done this on my own. I wish I could have. It would have saved me $70,000, but I needed help with it. I think that's where it is.
But knowing what you now know, would you do it all over again, or would you, to acquire the knowledge that you have now, did you need to do okay.
Yes. Now, maybe because I was much more focused. Well, of course, at my age, I was more focused. Okay, I'm spending the money, a lot more money than I did when I was 20 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
My parents helped pay and all that. But I've zeroed in on the interest that I have, and I was challenged a lot. And that's what a good teacher will do. They will challenge that student, whether the teacher is in Newburyport, Massachusetts, running something. And my advisor right now works for Landmarks Boston, and she's challenging me on my paper that I'm writing, struggling through. And that's what makes it. And I wouldn't have gotten this from a podcast or a YouTube video or something.
Unless
it was the Lake Forest podcast.
Unless it was Lake Forest podcast.
Yeah. No. We offer 2-year degrees here.
What are you talking about? You put it all through GPT or Grok.
Oh my gosh. Do you know something? What's scary is as I'm
me in the morning. Waking up with me in the morning.
Me in the morning. Yeah, on a cold morning.
Property tax bill
property tax bill. That's scary. There are a lot of scary things in life. Okay. And that's one of them.
April 15th is always a scary day, too.
What's scary is I could sign both of you up for beginning ballroom dancing, okay? It's only $179. That's scary, too. Anyway, what's scary is I'm writing my thesis, and you're talking about AI coming in, and I'm getting these messages on my email. And it said, hey, help us write your paper for you. And I'm thinking, really? So I said, okay, let's see what you can do. So I typed in my thesis topic, typed in a couple sentences. I've been working, by the way, on an outline for 6 months on this thing, okay? And I have my outline. The AI program generated an outline very similar to mine within 10 seconds. 10 seconds. As a former teacher, I'm horrified by that, because as a former teacher, I was, of course, having kids write research papers. The last thing I'd want them to do would be use this thing and pull out an entire paper and turn it into me.
Why do you need to do a paper?
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying, why? As technology changes, hopefully people change with it. But in the older days, like, why would you do a paper to prove that you have the knowledge? It's sort of a proctor that says, hey, the information. Right now, a proxy for that, if you want to be a doctor, you have to take a test. If you need to be a lawyer, you need to take a test. You want to be an accountant, you need to take a test to be approved, right?
Right.
Why can't we just get the knowledge and go to a proctor and show that we have the knowledge, and let's quit wasting all this time with all this administration stuff? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether you could actually, in terms of the test, in English and in a lot of subjects, political science, you write papers. Even the doctors write papers again and again and again for new things that they have found and new discoveries. And so it's more than just a test on that. I think it's discovery. I best thing I could say on that.
We're bringing artificial intelligence into this, and I think the schools have to be a part of this and quit resisting. It just delays things. The students are going to do it anyways. You get point A, point B, they're going to look for the quickest
Yeah.
route to get there. It definitely pushes people to critically think at a higher level to ask a better question. Is that a better skill than learning how to write a paper, putting it together? Do you have an opinion on that? If the colleges don't or the schools don't tag along, are the schools going to be left behind?
I don't know. I think that the AI actually, when going back to my outline being the same outline that the AI did. In fact, somebody said to me, a friend of mine said, "Do you think AI got into your computer and found it and just put it up?" And I said, "No." I said, "It takes me 10 minutes to find out where I put the outline. So if it did, it's really smart, okay, to get into my own system." Actually, I think AI is going to be used in other ways. And my paper is esoteric enough that it's not like tell me the history of George Washington. Okay, well, AI can do that. That's simple. But mine was really esoteric, and for them to kind of follow kind of a plan that I did, I was really impressed. Now, I ended up, and I told my advisor this, I ended up buying the program AI to see what it would do because I was more interested not having it write something for me. I was interested in where they found their sources because it said it had 19 sources. I thought, okay, I'm always looking for sources to back me up in terms of, as you said, the critical thinking. I'm looking at, I believe big time I was a debate coach, so I love critical thinking. I love debate. I love knowing both sides of an issue.
Good, we're going there next.
I think, okay, that's fine. So I ended up wanting the sources. So I bought, it was $99 for this program. And I thought, well, I've spent more than that on books. What the heck? Here's $99 for the price of the AI. And I wanted the sources. And I went out and looked for the sources and I had to really hunt. I couldn't find them. So it kind of irritated me that they weren't right there. Here's where it is, and here's where you find it. So I asked the question, where can I find this source? And the AI chat came up, and it was AI. It was not a person. Said, "Oh, you need to go to your library to find the source."
Who took your $99, Jan?
There you go. Okay. But I eventually found the source that it was kind of neat because the source came out and I thought, well, let me follow that one. I found something. And they didn't have the book in the Lake Forest Library. And so I ended up finding it. Of course, they ordered the book for me. So I have the book now. So that part of it, it turned out. However, I talked to my advisor about it, and she said in her class, in another class, undergrad, that she discovered that 3 out of I don't know how many students she has, had the AI write the paper for them, and they all came out about the same.
Oops.
It has no color to it, no texture, no feeling, no part of your own mind that actually puts something in. And she said she figured it out. She said it's very easy to spot now. And so she was going to give them a question for the next paper that they couldn't possibly use AI for it. And I thought, well, good for you.
Well, my concern with AI has always been maybe not on architecture, but in other topics, somebody could hijack that. What if there's imagine AI in Iran or North Korea or China,
Yeah.
where they're using AI to indoctrinate people into hating
Got
America or
it.
hating
You got
Israel,
it.
whatever they want to hate on, or hating religion, whatever is the case. So that's always been a concern of mine. But that's a concern that's gone back as long as there've been books, right? I mean, people try to ban books they don't like and write books to counter them, and so this is just the next step in
That's the
that,
next step.
using the technology. Do you think the experiences of COVID in education, I've been told by a lot of people, including people who were supporting at the time keeping kids at home due to safety issues with COVID, now saying we made a big mistake.
Mm.
That these kids, it's one thing to use Zoom or whatever on a snow day, but to do it for months and months and months, a year, I forgot how long it even was now, and my kids were front and center at that in middle school and high school.
Wow.
It really took a toll on these kids, socially, and ways may last for the rest of their lives in many cases. So is there a balance with this of you still want to have kids come to a building, be in a classroom, socialize with other students, be involved in activities, but incorporate newer technology in doing so? I don't know what your take is on that.
When COVID hit, as someone who loves education, someone who loves the school system, I mean, in terms of just educating these kids so they can go on and have a career and be good citizens and families and so forth. When COVID first hit, I remember saying to people, I wonder what's going to happen to our educational system. I was very concerned. I still am. I think you're right. I said they're going to be losing 2 years of education right up front. They're going to be losing that. They're going to be behind. And I don't know that I read the Lake Forest test scores, and you kind of see that in this in terms of, and I can't quote them, but just looking at them, I think they're behind socially. We need people around us. And we need that. The kids need that. So I remember having a doctor's appointment, just a regular doctor's appointment, and the doctor was sitting on the other side of the room, and I was sitting at the other side. And he said he had a 7-year-old son, and he happened to be off on Wednesdays. And so he was home, and the son was in 7 years old, the 7-year-old was sitting in front of the computer, and the poor teacher was saying, okay, Johnny, you're here. Sally, where are you? Come back to the computer. and it was mayhem. He said this is wrong. And I think the studies have been proven kids could have been together, but we didn't know. And I've had all kinds of shots. I haven't had COVID. I was lucky, but also trying to be careful. But I think this may affect the kids for many, many years.
And those kids are going to be soon, if you're elected, students
Right.
students at CLC in many cases,
That's
because
right.
that's the age they're
Right.
now going
They
to be.
they have a huge program. 42% of those students, and I looked at the demographics of the Lake County and also the student population. 42% of those students are, I'm going to say Hispanic. They may say Latinx, however you name it, but they're students, probably first generation, gone to college, and that's 42%. The Caucasians are 37%. So our county is made up of an increase in Hispanics. And also, I was surprised that the African American population going to college at CLC is only about 7%. But also the population here in the county is about the same. So it's about the same percentage. So I was just interested in terms of where things are going. The Asian population at CLC is quite low. It's also 7%. But in Lake County, it's increasing. And I'm wondering if those students are going to four-year schools. I don't know.
The CLC, though, I think, and maybe Bill talked about this on the podcast a couple years ago, isn't CLC now offering some four-year degrees, or am I thinking of something else?
I
Like
don't know.
partnership, there was a partnership with U of I or something like that.
There may be. I do know that you can get dual credits when you're in high school.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And the dual credit system, I mean, when I look at the surprises that I found of CLC in terms of, I had no idea, Stevenson High School and Libertyville High School, and I think another high school, and I don't know why Lake Forest doesn't do this. They had certain classes that they get dual credit. And
Lake Forest does have it.
Do they have it? Okay.
I speak from experience as a parent that there is a class that.
Okay. Well, they just had listed, and I just took a look at it the other day, accounting, business accounting. You can get dual credit, and maybe you can get dual credits on others. But I think that's great because then that drops the cost of the child who goes on to four-year school. They don't have to pay extra for that extra credit.
You know, all of us are against higher taxes here, but CLC is I think third or fourth highest in the percentage of your property tax bill. Obviously, the high school district and the elementary district are going to be number one with a bullet,
right?
Figuratively,
yeah.
But community colleges are up there because, municipal government can get some other sources of revenue like sales tax and things like that. But community colleges, other than some of those Pell Grants you talked about, are pretty much property tax driven. So, but they also offer a very good value to families, like you said, and as Pete has talked about, community colleges are a great alternative to spending an arm and a leg at university of whatever, when the student can get that degree there and get, placed in a career just as easily.
Well, I think I've been trying to find out what the percentage is, and I think we pay 3% for the college.
Okay, that's
something like that. I think we pay 7% for the county, but that's a little.
Oh different. Yeah, county government. Well,
county government. That's a whole.
We'll take that up with Sandy Hart if she ever comes on the show.
Right. Is she on a lot here?
She's never been on.
Okay.
Jan, how long did you teach debate?
14 years. And what happened was I debated in college and enjoyed it because it was two sides of critical thinking. Okay, you have to know both sides of an argument. And then when I got my job at District 214, they said, would you take the debate team? I was the assistant coach. And I said, yes, I would love it. And I went to every high school that had a debate team in the state. And so on Saturdays, I was with the kids driving to let them debate, coach them a couple nights a week, and had that was collegiate style debate where you go affirmative and then you have a negative. Then the next round you go negative and affirmative, negative, and so forth. Then they got into it was one topic for a year. So it was environmental, pollution and all that. We went through that. We had different topics. Finally, they got into negative income tax. That was a topic for an entire year. I thought I would throw up. It was just so much. It was something that they never should have selected that topic. But the kids learned and I learned. Finally, they went into student congress where you would be kind of a mock Congress. And you wouldn't have a state or anything like that, but you actually had multiple topics that you debated during a day, a Saturday. Then we went into Oxford style, which was English style, where you debate and you try to get your the audience to stand up and walk over to your side of the room. So it was really very interesting. The kids enjoyed it, and some of my former students are now attorneys, and I get to see them once in a while, and they've done well and have had a good experience from it.
So then what the hell happened with America? We don't debate anymore. We just say you're wrong.
I can't even watch a political debate
Yeah.
because as a judge, I became
Yeah. Yeah.
coach, and then of course I was judging these tournaments. I would kind of weigh, okay, here's the point here, what's the other side? I want to hear the other side. We have totally lost it, and people are afraid to debate. That's what's scary about this. If you say something, then you're offending someone. And it's called no. Let's
Yeah.
open it up and let's have a real row about one side versus another. And also, by the way, take the other side, see what happens.
Yeah.
You do it.
What what happened? Social media, the iPhone, like people are lazy, like
No,
people
well,
don't want to
all of the above.
all of the above.
People are
People
lazy. They don't know the issues. They only watch one thing. They only believe in one thing. I sometimes will listen to, I call it NPR. It's on the radio. In terms of, my gosh, I hear it, the National Public Radio, and to find out
Hi,
what
Jan. Welcome to the show.
to find out what people are saying, because it's really interesting. And I like the fact that sometimes I can take the other side and say, well, what about this point? Okay. I think people are scared. They're scared to know both sides, and they're scared to have discourse. And
But
that's so important.
that's not
I'm
healthy.
100% with you, Jan. I
So,
think
Yeah.
people are just the way people react these
Yeah.
days when they have when someone has the gall to say something that they don't agree with. I mean, I lost
Yeah.
close friends over that.
Yes.
So, and it's unbelievable that people can't work together and agree
Right.
to disagree and hear
but
each
what is
other's
the
side.
what is the cause of that? Is that they take it as an identity, so they're
Might be.
taking it personal, and there's
It
no
could
other.
be. I think that people I don't think they want to learn.
Yeah.
I think it's a lack of education. Seriously, I
Yeah.
think that they block out anything that doesn't agree with them. And maybe it's more narcissistic. Maybe you can, it's kind
Well,
of a,
sometimes it's people who are supposedly very highly educated,
yeah,
people with, master's degrees and
yeah,
PhDs,
right.
and they hear an opinion that contradicts theirs,
Mhm.
so they
You know,
close
if
down.
if our Congress, honestly, if our Congress would work across the aisle, if and work on something to make something better for the populace, for us, okay, they're representing us, we could actually have a pretty good congressional Congress. Okay, instead, all along, in fact, I'm reading books about all the presidents. My ancestor, my maiden name's Madison, so it goes back to James, okay, and all that. And
I
so
love the desserts.
I'm reading about all these presidents, and I'm reading like 10 books about Washington and 15 books about Adams and so forth. And I'm up to Millard Fillmore. I think there was only one book written about Millard Fillmore. Okay, not exactly our best president, but I'm up to a certain point, and I'm wondering. I mean, they had their battles long ago. Our founding fathers did. Good heavens, I'm surprised we even had a nation. They really fought over a lot of things to get it where it is today. And I'm just admiring some of the stances that they had, and also how sometimes they changed. They changed their feelings about certain things. So today it's people are just ground in, and it's too bad.
Well, back then, all you had was our boy Benny Franklin. That was our social media. He was the publisher
It's
out
true.
there.
There are a lot of books written about him. He was quite a guy. I
Wait till
really
you get
liked
to
him.
wait till you get to Abraham Lincoln.
Oh,
If you go to Ford's Theater in D.C.,
yeah.
where he was unfortunately was
Yeah.
assassinated. They have a visitor center now, and you come down this like 3-story winding staircase. In the middle of the staircase is supposedly a copy of every book ever written
Oh,
about Lincoln, and it's 3 stories high. It's amazing. I just saw it when I was in.
I haven't gotten him. I did go to the where is it in Springfield, the Lincoln Museum.
Yeah.
And to me, we sat in a room where I don't know who the speaker was, but they were reading, the person was reading Lincoln's material. And he was poetic. What a brilliant man he was, bright and articulate, in beautiful language. And I think we sat there for an hour listening to some of the language that he had written. What a great president and what a great speaker. And it really took a toll, on him.
Jan, we're getting towards the end of the show here, and I want to address the historical preservation society or whatever they're called. I lose track of all the names. The question that I ask is, what year does everybody want the city to be frozen in?
Good point. Very
Okay.
good. Okay. Good question.
Okay.
Well,
And so whatever that is, because everybody has to go in front of the dais and say, "Hey, I want to do this. I'd like to have a brown toilet
sure.
paper holder
Right.
in my bathroom, and I don't want the city to be messing with it." But whatever the board is, can't they get together and just have an approved like catalog of what is approved? Here's what in this neighborhood, here are all the different houses that if you want to go through it, approved, no problems, don't even have to go in front of anybody, versus coming in with this unique plan and says, well, here's what my architect put together and deal with this year of wasted time. What do you think?
Very good question. Well, one of the things right off the bat is this town cannot be encased in amber. We're not a fossil. It's always going to change, and it always has to change, or else it'll die. If it stays the same and the stores stay the same, people won't come in. Randy Tack told me just recently, as I was interviewed by the caucus for zoning board. So I will be on the new zoning board in May.
Hold on. Jan, how did you prepare for this meeting? Continue.
Yeah, right.
Caucus question.
Best friend Randy. Anyway, no. Basically, he told me that the restaurants, for example, Sophia's and La Colonial, could not make it if it were just being patronized by Lake Foresters. You have to have people come in from all over, and something like 80%. I mean, it was a high percentage that have to come in to want to be there to celebrate whatever, or just have a good meal or convivial times or something. If it were just Lake Foresters, those two restaurants wouldn't exist. So that tells me that we need a certain amount of tourism. I think it's now called placemaking, by the way, new term. Okay, bad. But anyway, tourism. And we want people to come into our town. And they won't come in if the stores stay identical, if they just are encased in that amber, as I said. We have to change. We will have developers come in. We will have new stores. We will have we'll have a lot of things change. Some of the buildings, we have something, and I just got off the Historic Preservation Commission, the HPC, and some of what we have, it has a structure. Howard Van Doren Shaw came in and built this wonderful market square. We've had other great architects. So people come in because they love the beauty of the town, and they are let's say they're in their houses, and some of those are districts that are protected. Now, the districts are protected up to a point. We're not like Nantucket. We're not like Santa Barbara. We're not like Beacon Hill in Boston, where it's like a museum. And we don't want that. But we have certain houses where somebody moves into this wonderful house, and so they want an addition. They want to change the garage or something. The HPC, actually, we have a very fine staff. Our city development staff.
Duly noted.
It's great.
Kathy Zerniak.
Yeah, and Abigail, and I don't know Louis that well, but they're very fine. I think we're understaffed. I really think, tell you the truth, I think we need to have a couple more, because I think it's
Or administration.
well, there you go. But I think in terms of getting really good people in there makes a difference. So somebody lives in a historic district, they want to change their house, and that's fine. It's their house. We don't want to have a four-story addition put on. I mean, there are certain restrictions. You don't want that type of thing going on. So they go to in front of the staff, and the staff actually cuts through a lot of this, Pete. They just basically kind of help them and move them on. And then the HPC helps them with the finished product. So here's what I wanted as a board member. I always wanted the petitioner to come in, and I wanted to make the petitioner happy, satisfied. I wanted the architect who was in there to be satisfied. I wanted the city to be satisfied, and I wanted our board to be satisfied. I wanted a good experience. Sometimes we kind of help them with some of the fine tuning of it. We rarely said no to big things that didn't work. We tried to help them through it. Sometimes it would take 2 meetings. But my point in that was I wanted everybody to be happy.
What was the debate on the awning with Lake Colonial? Were you there when they had that debate with the color of the awning?
Yes, the awning. Yes, the awning. La Colonial wanted it to be blue. Pretty much the colors in Market Square are green, and they kind of held their course, and we allowed that. That got through. I was a little more concerned about they call it an LED light. To me, it looked like a neon light, that had La Colonial written over it. I was a little concerned about that because we don't have any neon in town, and I didn't want to set a precedence. But they said it would be off at 11, so that's fine. The other point with La Colonial is they have a facade that comes out. It's an awning it's not an awning, it's a structure, but it was drilled into the building, and that's something that actually we were okay with finally, that they could take that off if needed, if somebody else had that restaurant. So when you deal with the structure, you have to kind of go through that.
We are so close to the end. I'm sorry, Jan, but real quick on the roofs. Have we figured out the roof problem and the HPC and all that?
Cedar versus
oh yes,
Vinci.
I wrote a huge paper. I'll give you the lowdown on it.
How much you pay for it?
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, it was in my class, so I probably paid $13,000 for this report that I did.
All right.
I wrote an extensive report about alternative materials, and one of those was about the roofing, and did a whole series of going through different places where they allowed it, where they didn't, and so forth. At the time, and this was 2 years ago, at the time, some of the roofing, the material wasn't good. In fact, I'll give you an example. Those tiles that you see on Adobe's, like Santa Barbara, you see red tile roofing. Some roofing company came up with a rubber roof, not tile, but rubber. So normally you do that you put that in a hot place like Arizona or California, and they melted down the wall of the homes. It's called, wait a minute, this shouldn't be. You have some standards here, it should go through testing. So what happened with the shingle roof and also the slate, now the state of Illinois has okayed a lot of that. So I think that's a done deal. I think if the roof material is good, and whether it's shake or it's slate, I think
the insurance companies are not going to cover cedar roofs much longer.
That's right, because we don't have any
wood. Experience on this.
We don't have wood left. It's all gone up in flames in Canada and California. So we are having to deal with alternative materials, and I think that's the end. I think that's the end of this. Hopefully it'll move on, but it has to be of quality. That's the other thing. And you don't want an awful roof on your house.
Why don't you give as we wrap up here, Jan, why don't you give us the 25 seconds why they should vote for Jan Gibson?
Oh, yes.
CLC.
Oh, thank you. Jan Gibson is running for, Janet Gibson is running for CLC board.
It's Janet if you're nasty. No,
I guess. I threw my right. I threw my mortar board into the ring and said I will run. And on two parts of the platform. One is that I want students to get through school without having a heavy debt load, and also have a good education and be happy that they went through school. The second one is I want to take a look at the books. I want to be physically responsible. And I want to make certain that we don't have excess levies on us as taxpayers throughout the county. We should be well within our budget. And I think we are, but I don't know for sure.
Janet, where do we send people to find out more about you?
Oh, I guess I have to get a website. Maybe
Facebook?
Facebook, I guess.
LinkedIn?
I do have a couple of things on Facebook. One of my Facebooks dropped because I had somebody hack it, and they were giving away my uncle's Mercedes for $4,000. So I had a lot of
that's a deal.
A lot of people come in. So that's gone. So it's now under Jan Gibson. So
okay.
That, and I am putting signs up in this frozen tundra all over town.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, right.
Get your name out. I think yard signs for presidential elections are useless and help cause these silos that we're talking about. But for a local candidate who nobody knows really anything about, I think yard signs are a good idea.
I'm speaking to townships and also different groups, construction groups and other places now, or people now. And
the big county.
in the county. I'm learning the county. I didn't know there was a village of 3 lakes. I had no idea. I'm learning that. And so I'm trying to do my best.
Well, it was for global warming. Jan Gibson, thank you so much for coming on the Lake Forest podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
And good luck.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Good luck. You got our vote.
Oh, thanks.
Get all of Lake Forest out so Jan can take the rest of the
They're
county.
all in Florida or someplace.
Well, they can vote by mail. Just go to the Lake County Clerk website. We already did.
Jan, congrats on the Masters. Good luck with the PhD.
Thanks,
Gene.
Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.